Let's go, Jets. Let's go, Jets.
All right, folks, Michael Cohen back here with you on the Sports Talk Nation as we're going to talk about and discuss the New York Jets game in London against the Denver Broncos. The final score, 13-11. Is that a scoreagami? I really wonder if that's a scoreagami. I really did, because this was, that is a side note, of course, because this was an abomination of a football game, an absolute disaster. Both offenses, I'll just be very honest here very quickly. Yes, both teams offensively absolutely stunk in this game, but nobody stunk as much as the New York Jets did in this game, particularly on Sunday morning as the Jets were overseas in London. And I'll say this, I'll add this, thank God for the New York Giants. Thank God for the New York Giants. You know why? Because without the Giants, without what they did against the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday night, there would be no football season right now in this town. There would be no football season. The Yankees, of course, are dead. The Mets were, finished a long time ago. The Jets we'll get into in a moment again, but we all know with them now at 0-6. And, of course, the only team that has given you a little glimmer of hope, just a little bit of smidgen of hope, is the New York Giants after what they did on Thursday night. That's it. Because what we saw on Sunday morning was a disgrace. Minus 10 net passing yards by Justin Fields in this game. Minus 10. He was under pressure all day. I mentioned the stat last week, the one that Connor Hughes tweeted out last week, about how Justin Fields holds the ball longer than any quarterback in the league right now. Of the 38 quarterbacks that are being tracked statistically, he holds it the longest for over about 3.5 to about 3.6 to 3.7 seconds. He holds it too damn long. How many times in this game did we see this guy drop back, pat the ball, run around run around the pocket, scramble around the pocket, and in some cases had clean looks? Yes, you could blame the offensive line for a couple of hits here and there. I mean, they're going up against the number one pass rush defense in the NFL, for crying out loud. But how many times did he have to stand there over and over again, taking his time before making any kind of decision? And, of course, the Broncos clamped down. 9 sacks on Justin Fields in this game. 9! Officially, he completed 9 out of 17 for 45 yards, but of course, with all the sacks, 55 yards lost, minus 10 net passing. Is it time now to think about benching Justin Fields? I don't want to hear about, he hasn't thrown an interception yet this year. That he's completed 68% of his passes this year. I don't want to hear it anymore. He can't manage this offense. They have gone backwards since the start of the season. Ass backwards since the start of the season in week 1 with him under center. And yes, certainly Tanner Engstrand should shoulder some of the blame. And yes, Aaron Glenn should shoulder some of the blame as well. But they've got to they've really got to make a decision. And look, I'm going to play this. Let's go right to that quote. Okay? There's, of course, a lot of other things that went on in this game. I'm going to nitpick, but I'm going to go right to that quote. At the end of this game, Aaron Glenn is asked, I think it's Brian Costello who asks him point blank whether he thought about or should the Jets think about benching Justin Fields ahead of their game against Carolina.
Justin's numbers are not good from this game. Is he going to be your quarterback next week, or would you consider?
What kind of question is that?
Look, he did not have a good game. I mean, I think it's a fair question.
There's a number of guys that, sometimes this league is like this, and there are guys that have bad games. That doesn't mean you just bench them. Come on, you know better than that.
That alone, that kind of response, should get Aaron Glenn in deep water. And this is where I'm going to start to get on Aaron Glenn now, because I've said this 1,000 times. I said it 1,000 times. I want Aaron Glenn to succeed. I want to see him succeed in New York. Guy was, former New York Jet, came here with great promise. I want to see him succeed. But week in and week out, it gets harder and harder to defend this guy. It's impossible to defend what the decision-making that goes on that sideline. He leaves everybody baffled to the point where even the commentators, Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner, were like, what the hell is going on out there on the field? Especially towards the end of that first half. 2-minute drive, one of the most screwed up 2-minute drives you will ever see in any level of football. You can give me Pee Wee League. You can give me high school. You can give me college. You can give me the NFL. You could give me the 2017 Cleveland Browns who went 0-16. You can give me the 2008 Detroit Lions who went 0-16. You could give me the 96 Jets. You could give me the 2020 Jets. I don't care. None of those teams had a 2-minute drill as messed up and as screwed up as what we saw at the end of that first half on the New York Jets. Here they are. 1 minute, 48 seconds to go. Let's go right there, okay? The Jets, at this point, are on a 3rd and 2, and they have all 3 timeouts. 1 minute and 48 seconds to go. You have all 3 timeouts, and you're on your own 36-yard line. In my mind, and in the mind of everybody else at this point, playbook is open. You can do whatever the heck you want. You just got to get the ball down the field, get yourself in position. It's a 10-6 game. At the very least, get in position to kick a field goal and cut it to a 1-point game, right? You're going into the half. What did the Jets do? 1 yard by Breece Hall. 3rd and 2, 1 yard. 4th down now. And then that led a whole bunch of confusion. Sean Payton and Darren Rizzi going like, what the hell are the Jets doing? As they were trying to figure out whether the Jets are going to fake punt or not. Of course, the Jets did the fake punt. Okay, whatever. Basically, just fell forward. And then the Jets, after all that confusion was fixed, now with 1 minute to go, and at this point, the Jets have used now 2 timeouts. 2! They've used 2 timeouts. Oh, my God. How is this possible? I mean, they've used 2 timeouts. And now you got 1 minute to go. And the first play you do is you run it up the gut on 1st and 10 with 1 minute to go. Why aren't you throwing the ball? Why aren't you trying to move the ball downfield? Because all you have done in 3 plays and wasted 2 timeouts is move 2 yards. You've moved 2 yards. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. 2 yards. And at that point, obviously, and of course, then the Jets decide, we're not going to call timeout now. You probably should have at that point because, or maybe even spike the ball. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to have Justin Fields drop back, gets destroyed, and now when, as Kurt Warner said, maybe you shouldn't call timeout here and force Denver to do it so they can think about getting the ball back. The Jets call their last timeout. They have no timeouts left. They have no timeouts left. And then, of course, we all saw how the quarter ended. 32 seconds to go, and you don't, on a 4th and 1 again, and you don't snap the ball again. You get a short pass up the middle that's short of the down. Run up to the line. Do a quarterback sneak. Get the down. Force the officials to stop the clock, obviously, so they can measure it. Okay, so they can make sure that's a first down or not. Do something, or at the very least, even if you make it's obvious a first down, get up to the line again and outspike the ball. But no, we're going to let the clock run all the way down till there's nothing left. Are you kidding? Oh. And then you see, of course, Garrett Wilson yelling at the head coach, and Aaron Glenn kind of has a smirk on his face. And this is why, this is how you lose a team. This is how you lose a team when you have this kind of miscommunication. You have no clue of how to handle your timeouts. You have no situational awareness of what's going on the field. This is something that I've been saying for weeks. This is something that everybody has been saying for weeks, from Connor Hughes to Connor Rogers to every Jet fan on social media, on Twitter, on YouTube. there's no situational awareness or understanding of the situation by the Jets at all. It's infuriating to watch. It's painful to watch. The only good thing about this game is that it ended at 12:30. And you had the rest of the day. But my God, it's a joke. It's a joke. And of course, this offense can't move at all. Give credit to the Jet defense. They played well. They shut down the Denver offense. I've never been a big Bo Nix guy, but he had a miserable day for Denver as well. I mean, the Jets actually had an 11-10 lead in this game because of a kind of ticky-tack holding call in the end zone. But hey, the Jets had the lead 11-10. In fact, there was one point when it was 10-9. I say to my old man, you know what the final score is going to be? It's going to be like 13-12 because both teams are going to exchange field goals. And of course, it ends up being 13-11. Oh my God! Of course, here we are at the end of the game. Denver is now up 13-11, and we all know how the Jets screwed up that sequence of events. As they almost fumbled the ball away on the first play of scrimmage. With the ball at the Jets' own 43-yard line. They have the ball at their own 43. And they can't move the ball. 2 sacks in that final drive, an incompletion, a 7-yard completion, and that's it. Of course, the big sack ends the game. The 9th and final sack of the night of Justin Fields ends the ball game, and fittingly so, because if the Jets had found a way to win that game by, let's say, a point, 14-13, it would have felt unjust because you would have heard about, hey, it's the first win, hey, team effort, hey, this, hey, that, and all the things that have gone wrong in this game would have been, kind of pushed to the side. You can't push that to the side. You can't. It was awful to look at. It was awful to watch. Not to mention, you go for on 4th and 8. At that point, you've had a kicker here, Nick Folk, who connected on a 58-yard field goal earlier this year. You have kickers all over the NFL that are connecting on 60-plus-yard field goals like it's nothing. Why not just kick a 62-yard field goal? It's 4th and 8. What you got to lose? You're 0-5. You're not going anywhere. Kick the field goal. If it's good, great. You win the game. Miracle. And carry Nick Folk off the field. If you miss it, hey, it's a 62-yard field goal. What do you expect? Oh my God! What a nightmare! I feel bad for the people over there in London, England. I really do. I said it last week. I said, don't be shy. King Charles III, should sit down with Keir Starmer and Parliament and say we don't want the Jets to come here again. No, NFL, no thank you, please, never. Oh my God. Again, situational awareness, lack of understanding of the moment, poor coaching, even worse execution, an offense that's going backwards, a defense, okay, played well today. And here's another example of everything that goes wrong with the Jets. I forgot about this. This game starts with the Jets forcing their first turnover of the year, a fumble by Denver. Jets fall on it, they're in great field position, and all the Jets muster is 1 yard. Remember how it seems like games would start and would end at the start, and it would be a sign of bad things to come? The fumble against Dallas, the fumble against Miami. There was another one. You get a turnover, and all the Jets could do was move the ball 1 yard inside Denver territory and are forced to kick a field goal. That's when you knew this game was in big trouble. And again, if Aaron Glenn is right now on the precipice, at least to me, of losing this thing, he really is. He's certainly lost the fan base. The fan base has had it up to here with some of the coaching decisions, the bad use of timeouts, the poor, ridiculous use of the 2-minute drill. I mean, yeah, like I said, he's standing on the sideline as they're walking away, and Garrett Wilson's coming after him saying, what are you doing? And the coach has a grin on his face. I'm like, what's going on? And, in many ways, you can't put all this on Aaron Glenn because this all goes, again, to the start. It all goes to the top, Woody Johnson, because exactly 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago when the Jets were in London last year, and I was out there. It was a fantastic environment, fantastic. Okay, the result maybe wasn't what one would have hoped with the Vikings beating the Jets, obviously, but it was a good game, and look, it was a great environment and everything else. And it was wonderful to see the city of London. But the fact is this: exactly 1 year ago, the Jets fired Robert Saleh because Woody Johnson felt embarrassed by the showing by the Jets in the UK. Of course, Johnson, the former ambassador to the UK. What does he feel now with the team that has a minus 10 passing yards, 8 first downs, 2 of 15 on third down efficiency, 82 yards of offense on 57 plays, averaging 1.4 yards per play? How does Woody Johnson feel now? Can someone find out? Because he is the one that made all this happen. He fired Robert Saleh last year. And I'm not telling you Robert Saleh is, Vince Lombardi. But at least that team, those players, played for this guy. I don't know what to make of this team with Aaron Glenn. At times it feels like they just don't care when they're on the field. So here they are, 0-6. All right, and I'll ask it again. Will this team end up going 0-17? Not likely. The next 3 opponents are the Jets' best chance to win a game. They got Carolina coming up. I know Carolina's playing well right now, having won 2 in a row against the Dolphins and the Cowboys. Believe it or not, 2 teams the Jets couldn't beat. Carolina's coming in here next week. Then the Jets go to Cincinnati to take on old friend Joe Flacco and the Bengals. Then it's a bye week, and then the Browns after that. Those 3 games are the Jets' best chances to win a game. A game. Will they? Because if they can't find a way to win at least one of those 3, I don't know when they're going to get a win. New Orleans at the end of the season? Even New Orleans plays better than they do. Everybody plays better than they do right now. This might be, and considering we've had Rich Kotite, we've had Adam Gase, if this continues, and this goes 1-16, 0-17, 2-15, whatever it's going to be, even if it goes 4-13, which would be a miracle, it will go down as one of the biggest disappointments and maybe one of the worst coached Jet teams we have seen in a very, very long time, if ever. And that's saying a lot. And it's not unusual for first-year coaches to get fired. Gerard Mayo got fired last year after 1 year. Okay? Lou Holtz, many years ago in the 70s, lasted, 14 games in a 16-game season with the Jets in 76. It's not unprecedented for it to happen. I don't want it to happen. I want to see Aaron Glenn succeed. I want him to be a good coach. But all the tea leaves are saying other things. And I think the first thing the Jets have to do and Aaron Glenn have to do is make a decision at quarterback, bench Justin Fields, start Tyrod Taylor, give your team, give your players a chance. Give your guys a chance. When you have your defense hold a team like the Denver Broncos, the 12 first downs, and 240 yards of offense, where a guy like Bo Nix is having one of the worst days of his career, you've got to do your team a favor and help your players out and put Tyrod Taylor in the game in that situation. You've got to help your players out and have a decision and a plan in place. First 15 plays always are scripted, right? You've got to have that in place. You've got to have an idea of what you want to do in the 2-minute drill. You've got to have an idea of what you want to do when the clock is running out and you're running out of timeouts. You've got to have all those things in place. You can't just get frustrated and just say, let it run out. That's the point. So that's where we are with the Jets right now, folks. It just doesn't get any worse than this. As I mentioned at the top, thank God for the New York Giants because, the New York Giants are 2-4. Normally you would say 2-4 is not great, and it isn't. But when you have that second win against the defending Super Bowl champions in the Philadelphia Eagles, and you have your 2 young players in Cam Skidabo and Jackson Dart light it up, especially Skidabo, who had 98 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and you got the entire stadium on its feet. You got the players all jacked up on the sideline. Everyone's trying to pump each other up. Players are like doing this with the crowd, trying to get the crowd involved, and they were incredible the other day against the Eagles. Incredible. There's a new vibe there with the Giants. And the vibe is winning. It's culture. Because you have a couple of guys there who don't know anything about losing. All they know about is winning with Dart and Scatterbo. Now, maybe they didn't come from, obviously they come from Ole Miss and Arizona State. It's not exactly Ohio State and Oregon. I get that. But they don't understand what the Giants have gone through over the last 10 years. They just want to win. They just want to have fun. And it's nice to see that kind of, come together here for the Giants and come together for all those players on that team because they're really starting to feed off of it. Now, the one concern you have, of course, is the concussion factor. We have Jackson Dart's second time in 3 weeks where he leaves the game for concussion protocol, goes into the tent. Now, there's a lot of controversy, of course, because Brian Dable went to the tent, tried to see what was going on. Apparently can't do that. And then, of course, with him yelling at the head doctor to get Dart ready to come back into the game, and now the NFLPA is going to look into whether he had violated concussion protocol. We'll see how that plans out. But one thing that Dart has to do is he's got to learn to slide. And they've got to find a way to protect that kid. You can't have him taking shots to the head all the time. Same thing with Scatterbo, who's not a big guy. He can get carried away himself. Also has to find a way to protect his noggin as well moving forward. But this is a promising young team. And if they keep winning, and with performances like that against the Eagles, there's no reason to think that they won't keep winning. They take on Denver next week, and we all saw what Denver was this week. You would think that the Giants will have a chance to potentially pull out an upset. You never know, of course, on the road. But if they find a way to start to string together some wins here, and they face teams that they can beat, especially at the end of the year, last month. I know it's Washington, but Washington comes here in December. Minnesota comes here in December. The Giants go out to Vegas at the end of the year, and the Cowboys come here the last week of the year. 3 in the last 4 games at home. Tell me the Giants can't win those games? Maybe 3 of those games and finish with a respectable 7 or 8 wins. If they do that, that could make the case to bring everybody back, like Dable and Shane and all those guys. So this was a step, I think, for the Giants in changing the culture. Because if they had lost this game, I thought going in after that horrible loss to New Orleans, if they lose this to the Eagles, they're in a tough stretch in the schedule. It could be nights out for Brian Dable. Now, maybe not. Maybe not. The concussion thing's not good. That's another story. But we'll see how it plays out for the Giants. That is a nice story in a time where nothing is going very nicely here in New York for the professional sports teams, from the Jets to the Mets to the Yankees. At times the Giants, but maybe for 1 week it was not. So, folks, like and subscribe. Leave your thoughts below. Oh, my goodness. I know there's going to be a lot of people with thoughts on this game. We'll talk to you next time.